Hey y'all, I'm back again. This is the crack of dawn right now. I am reviewing the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. They took like a holiday break and they're back. And let me just tell you, this is the most chaotic episode of a Housewives franchise I think I've seen in a very, very long time. They are really bringing it. So we left off last week on the cliffhanger of Lisa finally spilling the tea about her friend Cameron mortgaging his house for $300,000 and giving it to Mary. And already, not even 1 minute into the episode, we have a flashback of Lisa meeting up with Cameron. And how did they not show that to us? It was like a month before, and he's telling her all the tea. He said he mortgaged his house and it went towards her surgery. Not sure if it was the older glam, but we saw how Mary used to look. So she's really been taking advantage of her congregation and definitely manipulating people with religion, which is just as foul as what Jen is doing. I just want to know, what was Lisa's intentions, because she did film this on camera, but yet she didn't want to tell the other ladies about this. So y'all got to make sure y'all listen to this part when Lisa's around everybody. She says she 100% believes her friend Cameron. Okay? We're going to keep that in our back pocket till later because this episode gets crazy. Here go Lisa with the dry tears. It's just my friend and I believe him. It's traumatizing. Now, what is going on with Meredith? Like, is she drunk? I am not going to listen to these digs about, like, when did her and Mary become so close? And she just said zero facts, but Lisa clearly just said what Mary did. Like, she's manipulating people in her congregation. Exactly, Meredith. Like, have you not been looking at any of the allegations? Like, living off the tides of her church? Having a cult? Meredith is bringing up Jen as a counter argument, saying no one believed her. Like, I need facts. I need concrete facts. What is going on? I was in Meredith's corner, and now she just sounds crazy. So it looks like Meredith doesn't believe anything that's being said about Mary. I don't know what Mary's spell like has over Meredith right now, but it has to be the alcohol because she sounds crazy. So Lisa is tired of this. She's like, I'm gonna get up. I'm going to bed. I'm going to bed. She just walks off. I do have to agree with Lisa this one time in her confessional. Like, okay, so y'all believe everything that happened with Jen just because she's a shitty person. And she is. Mary's a shitty person too, but you have everything laid out for you and you're going to ignore it again like y'all did with Jen? Okay, now watch the feds come and get Mary. The terrorism and trauma that her entire family went through at the hands of Jen Shaw. Meredith, come on. Come on. No. Jen didn't do all that, okay? Oh my God. Lisa. Duplicitous snake, saying she going to bed, but she goes right down to Mary's room and confronts her. Wow, okay. She's saying people are talking about her, and she just was upstairs with the ladies talking about Mary, saying that she 100% believes Cameron. She needs to just own her shit. She is a manipulator, a master manipulator, and a snake. We're back with Heather and them, and Heather's saying that we need to stop being complicit with these behaviors that we're seeing. Like, we have all the clues. We just need to confront Mary about it. They're not saying they're not going to be friends with her anymore, but they need to talk about it. And now we are back in Mary's room. The cameraman is just by the door. We're not going in, but they're mic'd. We can hear everything that's going on. Lisa asks Mary directly, do people at your church think you're God? She's like, no. And Lisa just threw Whitney under the bus and said, oh yeah, Whitney told me that. Really? So you're going to omit what you said that Cameron said to all the other ladies on camera? Y'all see what's happening here? And just throwing poor Whitney under the bus. So now we got the door open, finally. So Lisa brings up her relationship with Cameron, but she leaves a lot of details out. She said, well, you know, I could separate my friendships with you and Cameron. And then you have Mary telling Lisa, well, you don't know Cameron as much as I did. But Lisa said on Twitter that the reason she met Mary was because of Cameron. And then Mary's like doing her little manipulation, telling her like, it shouldn't bother you what other people are saying as long as you have loyalty to me. Like, this is some award-winning backstabbing right now. She completely threw, like, the other ladies, and especially Whitney, under the bus for talking about Mary. And then Lisa proceeds to throw her good friend Jen Shaw under the bus with Mary, too. Then we get our second flashback in under 10 minutes, and then we go back to when Lisa and Jen were talking at her Fresh Wolf photo shoot. Why did they take this out? So then she was like, why do I always get called out for things? Mary, like, she has somebody on food stamps, somebody ended their own life, like she's taking advantage of people. Jen said all this shit and they saved it as a flashback. Lisa is really trying to just wash all the blood off her hands and try to align herself with Mary before she finds out that all the other ladies been talking about her. Mary's response to this information is, that's why Jen is where she is now, and that's why I am where I am now. But Mary, you know what? I'm sure the law is on your tail too. It's just a little bit more arbitrary what you're doing to scam old people. Mary is saying Jen is living a lie. Okay, Pot. I really just can't believe Lisa threw two people under the bus just to keep her hands clean. So it is the next morning, and then we see Mary going into Jenny's room. And I thought they were still beefing, but apparently they're not. And then we get our third flashback. And just because I'm guessing Jenny buried the hatchet with Mary, she did her makeup, Mary has a gift for her. We also see in a flashback that they made up and they apologized, and producers left this out too. This is chaotic already for me. So Mary gives Jenny some red bottoms. They're kind of cute. They're kind of cute. Wait a minute. Oh my God. This woman is nuttier than a fruitcake. So Jenny's like, oh, thank you for buying this for me. She's like, well, actually, I already had these shoes. And she says in her confession that she just gave it to her to lighten her luggage. Oh. What am I watching? So she just gave her a pair of used shoes? They do look brand new though, and you know how Mary just be hoarding luxury items. Maybe she never wore them before. Lord have mercy, another plot twist, and we are just 15 minutes in. So next scene, we're in Whitney's room, and Heather's coming in talking to her, and Whitney's letting us know in her confessional that when all the ladies were headed to bed, she heard noises coming from Heather's room. So she perked her ears up, and she can clearly make out that it was Heather, Lisa, and Mary in one room. They were all laughing. And apparently Mary gifted them luxury items too, after they all was talking about her. Like, Mary is being mischievous as well as Lisa. And pretty much Whitney's like, y'all are being bought off right now. And we see earlier in the scene that Heather just got a Louis bag from Mary. So now we got Whitney confronting Heather now. Like, these two are thick as thieves, and Whitney's a little upset because they were all just talking about Mary earlier. And it just seems like everybody is phony right now. So from Heather's perspective, she was in her room, lights out, and then Lisa as well as Mary burst into her room smiling and laughing, and Mary gets her a gift. So basically so far, everyone has gotten a gift from Mary except Whitney. And Whitney's a smart girl. Like, we play her for that cutesy voice that she has, but she's very smart. She sees that, like, what's happening right now. She's the one that's being thrown under the bus for what was said about Mary. And Mary and Lisa are in cahoots right now to get all the other ladies on their side. So Heather kind of confirmed what Whitney was thinking, saying that, like, it was pinned all on her because Mary told her, I'm not a god, I'm not a god. And then was telling Heather that she's not friends with Whitney at all. And her and Lisa are all buddy-buddy now, Lisa and Mary. Whitney is livid. Livid. It is okay, Whitney girl. We, the audience, have your back. We see what's going on right now. Mary and Lisa, what they're doing right now is diabolical. Like, they're trying to isolate Whitney right now. And Whitney is calling out everything. She is the new detective. She puts Sutton to shame. Like, Whitney is a smart girl. She is going play by play what Lisa probably did as if she was just watching everything back with us. At least Whitney and Heather, their friendship is good and intact. Like, I'm glad that they talked about it. So next scene, we're with Heather and her estranged sister and her husband. She says Nancy is her youngest sister, and she was excommunicated from the Mormon church before her. Like, she went off and married young to this guy who wasn't a Mormon, and her family basically disowned her. So this whole meeting between them, she's just trying to reconnect with her sister. And once their father died, there was an opening left for them to talk to each other. So that was nice. I mean, Heather is so likable. So her and her sister are going to make sure that they work on their relationship going forward. So now we're back at the vacation house. All the ladies are packing and they're headed to a private jet to go back to Salt Lake City. So we're with Lisa, Meredith, and Jenny, and Lisa's telling the other ladies that she popped in Mary's room on her way back to her room. And the only reason she did was because she saw that Mary's door was open a little bit. Okay, so lying Lisa says she asked her some direct questions, but leaving out the fact that she threw Jen under the bus and she threw Whitney under the bus to make it seem like she was the one defending Mary, when she wasn't at all. The only person that was defending Mary was Meredith. But at the root of it is, a lot of them don't want Mary mad at them. I think when Lisa realized that Meredith wasn't going to turn on Mary, she needed to clean her own hands, so she left, went down to Mary and tried to solve things with her one-on-one. But why are these women afraid of Mary? That's what I want to know. And don't even get me started on Meredith and Mary's relationship. I just don't get it. I really don't. Like, she shuns Jen Shaw, especially for, her crime with victims. And she's hearing that Mary has victims, but she's ignoring that. Again, Meredith, it is not about you. We even go to a flashback when Jen was talking about how Meredith was seeing other people as well as her husband was seeing other people. And she said no one checked in with her about the rumors. Well, you having extramarital affairs or you and your husband being separated is very different from Mary leading a cult and manipulating patrons of her church, as well as Jen, running a telemarketing scheme. Meredith says the only people that weren't talking behind her back when that rumor started was Lisa and Mary. Mary was hardly even on the show last season, and she had nobody to talk about it with. So next scene, we're downstairs in the kitchen with Mary and Whitney. It's just them. Heather's like, where is everybody? And Whitney says, hiding from the truth. So all the ladies are coming downstairs now, and it looks like they're all about to have a conversation. So Meredith starts off the conversation saying that before we leave, I just want to clear up some things and have some resolve in this group. As Meredith brings up to the group that people have been talking behind each other's backs, we see Jenny in her confessional calling Meredith out saying, okay, you're talking behind other people's backs, but you went and hired a private investigator on your friend. I mean, I wish Jenny would keep the same energy, towards the other women in person. This reunion is going to be everything. Everything. And I hope to God it is only 2 parts. That is all it needs. Maybe 3. But if it's 4, I'm rioting. So Meredith starts off the conversation apologizing to Mary and Whitney. She tells Whitney, I should have never told you what Cameron told me. I should have went directly to you, Mary, and for that, I'm sorry. Meredith is very emotional right now. I think it's a combination of the pills she's on and maybe some liquor. And then Whitney says the only reason this came up is because Cameron mentioned it. And who brought Cameron along? Lisa. And here go Lisa, wait a minute, what's happening right now? What's happening right now? Girl, she calling your ass out for your manipulative ass behavior. Your sneaky, shisty, two-faced, duplicitous, snake-ass behavior. Yes, Whitney for the timeline in the confessional. I love Whitney so much. God, I just know she's a Republican too, and I'm gonna have to hate her. So as Lisa's getting all riled up, Meredith's trying to calm her down, and the main point of this talk was for Mary to explain herself to the group. And Mary's response to this is telling the group that I don't owe any of you an explanation. And that would have been all I needed to hear. Okay, this bitch is guilty. And clearly, Whitney is the one Mary is mad at. And that's the only one she's mad at. And again, as Whitney's trying to calmly talk to her, Mary shuts her down and dismisses her. Now, Heather's sticking up for Whitney right now, and then Mary tries to dismiss Heather. Bring your head down. Really? Why are y'all letting Mary talk to y'all like this? See, look, with the shit that Jen and Mary get away with on here with these white women, it is crazy. So Whitney just lays it out what Lisa did to Mary, and she's like, I just think what she did, she saw us sever in our relationship, and that was the perfect way for her to enter. I think people don't take Whitney seriously because of how she's talking, but she's making the most sense. And then Lisa, she's like, well, what are you talking about? I can't be doing all this. Yes, girl, you've been doing all of this all along. I cannot wait till we call your ass out at the reunion. Right, Mary, you don't get manipulated because you're the one doing the manipulating. Now Lisa's trying her best to gaslight Whitney. Oh, God. Jenny is just silent. Like, say something, girl. You were there. You saw Lisa's duplicitous behavior. She's just rolling her eyes. I don't know. I don't think Jenny is up for this. I think they should get rid of Jenny as well as Mary. Think the best of me, not the worst of me, or else I will think the worst of you. Girl, what the fuck? Lisa might as well just say, Whitney had their bad weather. Destroy. So now Lisa and Whitney are going back and forth. And now Mary's trying to like shut Lisa up right quick. And look, Mary is in complete control of the girls. Like, they listen to her. For some strange reason. She really just said, huh, up. And then Lisa was quiet. So now Heather brings up how Lisa and Mary came to her room, and then Mary shuts her down and says, that's no one's business. Girl, what? Y'all were talking about Whitney. And you were basically trying to buy off everybody in the house to be on your side. And then Heather points out that everybody's gotten a gift in the room except for Whitney. And then Mary says, I know that because I didn't give her gift yet. And I'm going to give it to her when I feel like it because it's none of your business. Where is the straight jacket? Where are the three big men with the straight jacket to put on Mary? Because this is enough. This woman is certified. I wouldn't even engage. Yes, I would not even engage with the likes of Mary. So Jenny gets a pair of Christian Louis Vuittons, $1,300. Lisa gets a Chanel clutch. Meredith gets a Louis Vuitton hat. And then Heather gets a Louis Vuitton bag for $5,700. Like, she is clearly buying off these women for their loyalty. So Whitney is actually upset that her and Mary aren't friends anymore. And she's trying to explain to her that all she was trying to do last night was trying to piece together things, but Mary wasn't trying to hear it. And now Lisa is trying to throw her under the bus. She's trying to tell us all a misunderstanding, but Mary is a psychotic sociopath. Can you be both? Can you be a psychopath as well as a sociopath? I don't know. Let me know in the comments. And then as Heather tries to interject, Mary tries to again shut her down. Like, you. Heather's face right now. So Heather's trying to break it down to Mary that the only reason she cares about this now is because the whole situation that's happening with Jen. Like, they ignored the signs and now they see signs with Mary, so they're just confronting her about it and they just want her to speak on it. And then Mary is just super offended that they're even putting her in the same box as Jen. Okay, Mary, Jen is being indicted. You just wasn't caught yet. So Mary is calling out Heather on her being manipulated by Jen. And Heather's like, okay, well, you're trying to manipulate me. And then Mary's like, well, I could have been manipulated you. Who tells that to people? Then she tries to bring up the cooking class again as a reference where everybody was drinking. And Heather was like, girl, I was like 3 bottles of wines and eating bolognese. And then that's when Mary was like, well, you always drink. You always get drunk. Someone needs to carry your ass home. We see Meredith snicker at that. And Lisa's laughing at it. They may be laughing at the audacity of it all for her to just tell that to Heather. So I'm glad Heather's standing up for herself. And she's telling Mary, I am sick of women putting me down and throwing shady digs at me. And I'm not going to do it anymore. And then Mary was like, I'm done talking to you. Heather is going off in her confessional. She's like, are you really coming at me after I overlooked the fact that you married your step-granddad? I really wish Heather would have told this to her face. She said, when people need to start drinking when you come around, that's because they're trying to deal with your crazy. Heather has had enough. Enough! She gets up and tells everybody that they are crazy, aside from Whitney, of course, and telling them that we are doing exactly what we said we weren't gonna do that night they were talking about Mary. Then she calls it out that everybody is afraid of Mary. Because you can hear production with that loud drum whenever they say something like provocative. Apparently that statement Heather just made just blew up the room. Now everybody's just getting up. Lisa's like mad at that accusation. Whitney, she's done too. She's going with Heather. So as Heather is going downstairs, she yells across the room what Lisa said about Cameron putting up a mortgage for his house for $300,000 because he was under your spell, Mary. And now Lisa's trying to lie and say, I never said that. I never said that. Mary said, we talked about that lie. And then Heather yells, yeah, I'm sure Lisa cleaned it up, and slams her door. This is absolute chaos. So now they're all just sitting in the living room while Heather's downstairs. Whitney goes down to check on her. And Heather, they got to her. She's emotional right now, and she's ready to go. I don't like what's going on right now. Meredith didn't say anything when I'm expecting her to be the voice of reason. Lisa's just being her old backstabbing, duplicitous self, and Jenny isn't saying a word. I'm frustrated. I just threw my remote on the ground. She's not saying a word right now. Like, girl, speak up. You might. Yeah, Heather's crying right now. She's like, she doesn't want to be anywhere near Mary, and she doesn't want to go on a private jet anymore. They're just going to try to find their own transportation. Whitney's like, what can I do for you? Heather's like, nothing. Let's just get the fuck out of here. All right, so then they leave the room, and they're packing. They're ready to get the fuck out. So Whitney then goes upstairs to deliver the message to the other ladies that they're going to find their own transportation. And Lisa's like, why? Why can't we just sit down and talk about it? Why? Because y'all are all crazy, y'all are all under Mary's spell, and no one is being truthful right now or holding Mary ass accountable. I agree with Whitney. This is a mind fuck right now. How everybody's just backstabbing each other, these new alliances, the lies. As Heather's packing, she hears Lisa talking. She's like, fuck off. Heather is so funny when she is flustered. She's in her confessional saying, you know what, this has been the weekend from hell. I almost wish the feds arrested me, so I wanted to deal with this. So Mary's been some crazy talk, and Whitney tells her that no one is being honest right now. Everybody's being two-faced. Mary says she knows. She knows. And then Meredith finally pipes up and says, I am not being two-faced. Whitney just turns at him and just like, okay. And then she just leaves downstairs. So now we're left with Jenny, Meredith, Mary, and Lisa. And then you have Meredith apologizing to Mary again. So Jenny is telling her that, yes, we all talked about you. We talked about your church and how you were trying to manipulate people, sort of in the manner that Jen was. And I'm guessing this is a trigger for Mary. So then she starts crying, and Meredith goes over to comfort her. Wow, what a statement. I never had to rip anybody off. I was born in money. Is that the reason why you had to marry your grandfather? Wow, really, Mary? You really gonna come after Heather's weight and call her chubby? You're a bitch. You know that? I reserve the B words for the nastiest housewives. She is nasty. She's like, all my life I've had to fight about people being jealous of what I've had. Girl, save it. She called Jen a heartless thug and then compares her to those Mexican people, pause, who sell drugs. Wow. And then Lisa didn't say nothing. Like, you can see her reaction when she said that, but she didn't say nothing to correct her in that moment. Okay. Wow. Mary, this is your last season, hopefully, you disgusting bitch. I think she meant like to put me with those cartel people. That would have cleaned it up a little bit. There's no saving her. Like when she said the thing about black people in front of the convenience store, that should have let y'all know how she operates. I don't see how anybody likes her on this show. I've never liked her on this show. And now Meredith is breaking down to Jenny's like, you can't do this. That is her church, her livelihood. Like you can't do things without the truth. She has to be on drugs. Like, Meredith, what happened? We were all rooting for you. How dare you? Y'all, this episode is so chaotic. This review is probably going to be chaotic. I'm sorry in advance. So it looks like all the ladies are getting ready to leave, and then you see Mary coming down the stairs, and she said, I want my purse back. And then the camera zooms in on Heather with her hood. It looks like she's trying to hide from Mary. Lord, and then we see Mary confront Heather one last time, saying, if you were a good friend to me, none of this would have never happened. The gaslighting, the manipulation. Don't fall for it, Heather. So it looks like Heather's just trying to say whatever to get Mary out of her face. She's like, I'm sorry I hurt you. And then Mary walks off and says, you're a liar. They calls her weird. Wow. So the four ladies, Lisa, Mary, Meredith, and Jenny, they're getting in the car on the way to the jet. And then, you know, Whitney and Heather, they're going to stay and fly commercial. Like, it's that bad right now. And then Mary just trying to act all goody-goody like nothing happened. Just hands a sucker over to Jenny. You want one? And then I saw the picture they took on a private jet on Instagram. Like, they were just all buddy-buddy. These new alliances, like this show. And so the van leaves, and then we see Whitney and Heather on the steps. They look like they're looking for Delta flights. Damn, then we see the other ladies, you know, getting on the fancy jet. Lisa, oh my God. She really said that with a straight face. Well, if Heather and Whitney, you know, all they had to do was just keep their mouths shut and hear what me and Mary had to say, or else they wouldn't have to be flying commercial and taking their shoes off to get through security. After we're gonna watch What Happens Live, Whitney confirms that they had clear, they didn't have to take their shoes off, and they flew first class, which I'm not surprised. Child, we see them chilling on the jet as it takes off, and that is where the episode ends. This was absolute chaos. I think I loved almost every minute of it. Andy, this is the episode that will go down in Housewives history. In the first 12 minutes, we get 3 to 4 flashbacks, all the lies, manipulating, and backstabbing. Oh my God, and then this mid-season trailer? I am in. Like, y'all need to be watching Salt Lake City. This is the tea right here. That's all I gotta say about it. Now, I gotta hurry up and edit all this shit. I apologize for the late reviews, y'all. I'm headed to LA right now. I'm gonna be late for my flight. So yeah, make sure y'all like, comment, and subscribe. I would love to hear what y'all think about this crazy ass episode. I'm gonna see y'all later. Bye.